Well, hi folks, and welcome to another video, Brummy in the Highlands. Today I thought we'd come over to Culloden. Now there's a very famous battle that took place here, the Battle of Culloden, and that was in 1746 when that took place, the Jacobites versus the government troops. Now what I decided to do today was come and video this and give you a sense of what the actual battlefield is like today. Now there's a lovely visitor centre connected to it. You can go in, it does cost, you do have to pay to go into the visitor centre. That's the entrance to it that you can see there. There's a lovely shop, cafe and a museum in there as well. Lots of artefacts that they've discovered, that they found on the battlefield in there, so that's worth a look. There's also a cinema in there as well, and it's a cinema that you stand up in, and basically the screen is all around you in a circle, and you are immersed into the Battle of Culloden. It brings it all to life for you, so that's well worth going in. But what we're going to do, we're not going into the visitor centre, we'll have a walk through onto the battlefield itself, and this is Drumossie Moor that we're going on to. Now it's quite a windy day today, so I will apologise if you're getting a lot of the noise of the wind coming through in the audio there, but hopefully you can hear me. So you don't have to pay to come onto the battlefield, it's just to go into the visitor centre. You can walk around free of charge. So we'll go and have a walk around and see what sense we get, what feeling we get here out on Drumossie Moor. Now we'll just have a walk around, folks. You can see it's very bleak. Drumossie Moor this is. Now bear in mind that we're just literally a mile or so away from Inverness city centre, which is just to the right there that you can see. That's just Inverness city centre, so it's quite extraordinary. So you've got this battlefield now. It is literally a battlefield, and you can see that the terrain is not very good. Even today it's very uneven, and that would have been difficult for the troops. Now just as we walk around, you'll see these flags, and you've got red and blue flags. The blue flags represent the Jacobites, and the red flags represent the government troops. Just keep having a wander about. Again, apologies for the wind, but it's a very thought-provoking place, and you can see the ground's very uneven. Now the Jacobite, this was the final battle on British soil. The Jacobites fought, and it brought an end to the Jacobite uprising. Now the Jacobites were not in the traditional sense English versus Scottish. It wasn't anything like that, although there was a bit of that, but not like you would imagine. The Jacobites were not too happy that there was a Hanoverian king on the British throne. They wanted a Stuart king led by Prince Charles Edward Stuart. So they decided to try and recruit as many disciples, if that's the right word, many supporters from England. They decided to travel down as far south as Derbyshire in their quest for support from the English. Now when they got down there, they were battle weary. There was a few battles fought, and the Jacobite troops were battle weary, and they had to really retreat back to Scotland. Now on their way back, they become undernourished. There wasn't much food, they were very tired. I think one report tells me that they were surviving on 3 or 4 biscuits a day, which is extraordinary really. So when they got back to Scotland, they were quite undernourished and not really fit for battle. Now, they came across the Hanoverian, the government troops, here at Drumossie Moor, exactly where we're standing now. And they had no option but to fight. Now they were in no fit state to fight, the Jacobites, but they had no option. They had to fight the government troops, and they fired the first shot. The Jacobites fired the first shot, and then it was really just a massacre. From that point onwards, really, the government troops were in much better shape than the Jacobites, and they were just slaughtered. The Jacobites were slaughtered. Over 1,000, I think 1,500 were slaughtered, and it took less than an hour for the battle to finish. Less than an hour. So just imagine all those bodies lying here on the moor, and then mass graves had to be dug then to bury the bodies of the dead soldiers. Now as we walk round, we will see the headstones of the clan, various clans, of where the Jacobite troops were buried in their mass graves. So here we are, folks, at one of the red flags. There we go, that represent the government troops. And we'll just have a quick look at what this says on here. So it says there, I'm not sure if you can read that or not, but it says, to the left of this point stood Cobham, the Argyllshire men. So this is where the Argyllshire men were standing, next to this red flag. So some of the government troops here. Just looking ahead there, you'll see a row of red flags. So there's the government, and then over to the left you've got where the Jacobites would be in the distance there. So I'm virtually in the middle now of the front line, so just straight ahead there you can probably see in the distance, if you look carefully, you've got the blue flags of the Jacobites. That's where the front line for the Jacobites would be. And then if I pan round, just behind me now, you will start to see the front line just there of where the government troops would be. So those are the red flags. So I'm standing more or less in the middle now, this gap in the middle, and then they charged to each other. So here we have an information plaque, and that's just telling you, I'm not sure if you can zoom in on that and check it, but archaeologists have found items here relating to the artillery, suggesting that the Jacobites were pounded by numerous rounds of canister shot, cans full of musket balls or grape shot, fired from government field guns. So there we go. It is really thought-provoking, isn't it? And just in the distance to the right of the shot there, you can see the visitors centre. Now what we'll do now, we'll go and have a look for some of the gravestones where these the mass graves were, and we'll see if we can find the gravestones that marks the clans that were buried there. Let's go and have a look for that. Yeah, I'm just looking at the moor now, and you can actually see the water there. You can see how boggy this place is, so it would have been very, very difficult for the troops. It really would. It's very uneven and very boggy. So we're just making our way around now to the Jacobite front line, and you can start to see in the distance there one of the flags indicating the Jacobite front line. So I'm just looking at this information plaque now, and remember we are now on the Jacobite front line, and there was 400 Camerons in about this area. So just to the left you'll see some more of the blue flags. So we are directly now on the front line of the Jacobites, and right in the distance you can just see the red flags of the government troops. So on this plaque here were stood the John Roy Stewarts, 200 of them here. Now again, just as we look across Drumossie Moor, just look at the water lying there, And again, I keep going on about this, but the conditions must have been awful, completely awful. And we've got to the left more of the water there. And the conditions, again, I'm just trying to point out how bad the conditions would have been. But again, all the way down here we've got the front line of the Jacobites. So yeah, it was very, very difficult. Now I'm just going to zoom in. In fact, I'll go around this way, because I've spotted a Highland cow, Highland coo, that you might be interested in. So we'll go and take a quick look at that, if I can get close. So we'll leave the Highland coos behind and we'll head now towards the middle of the battlefield. So we're heading away from the front line of the Jacobites towards the government troops now. So I can only imagine this is where most of the fighting was done. Okay, so we're just entering the area now where the clan graves are. So there is a sign back there saying everybody needs to be respectful and try and keep the noise down to a minimum, which is understandable when you're in a place like this. But yeah, it's very thought-provoking. Now, there's one of the graves here, one of the headstones for the clan Fraser. Look at that. So this is roughly where the mass burial sites would be. So that would be for the clan Fraser. And you can see them all the way down there, just coming into the centre of the shot now. And just to the left of us we've got a memorial. We'll go and take a closer look at that. So it tells you a little about the battle, the Battle of Culloden, it says. It was fought on this moor on the 16th of April 1746. And the graves of the gallant Highlanders who fought for the Scotland and Prince Charlie are marked by the names of their clans. So there we go. And that was a memorial to it. Hopefully you can see that, folks. That's a plaque there that's on the memorial, and basically it says the cairn was placed in the care of the trust in 1944 by Hector Forbes of Culloden. It was erected in 1881 by his kinsman Duncan Forbes of Culloden, who also set up the headstones on the surrounding graves of the clans. So we'll go and take a look now at some more of the headstones. So there we go, there's another one. Now this headstone is mixed clans, so I would imagine they couldn't identify them, so they just mixed them all together. And then as we walk down you will see many more headstones. You can see them there in the middle of the shot now. There we go, just as we leave the clan headstones behind, folks, you can see how close we are now to the government troops, the front line there. You can see a couple of the flags there. So yeah, we're just making our way through the moor now, and Field of the English. They were buried here. So this is where the English were buried, just in this field here. Now there's not too much information of where the government troops were buried. Where that red flag is that you can see just ahead of us there, then they reckon that's probably roughly where some of the government troops were buried, but they are unsure. Okay folks, so I'm just at this cottage here. We'll go and have a quick look at this. Now this is an old, very old building, isn't it, this one? And it's got a thatched roof. As you can see, this must date back a long time. So it's sort of stone, and then I think it's got peat. So you've got the stonework here, and then you've got the peat there on the gable end. So this is Leanach Cottage, I think I've said that right. And the cottage stands here now, was built on the site of the farm buildings shown on almost every contemporary battle map of Culloden. A cannonball is said to have been recovered from the turf wall of the building more than 100 years ago. So there's some history in that little cottage there, and I think we can go inside, so we'll go and have a quick look inside and see what that's like. So folks, we've got the cottage to the right there. Now if you walk to the just in front of the cottage, you'll see this track that takes you up to the top of the visitor centre, and we'll go and have a look up there. Yeah, it's like a rooftop garden, isn't it, this? Like an eco building. So there we go, this is going to give us a good view now of the moor. So just to the right you can see the cottage there, and then we'll just pan round and you'll see the expanse of the moor. Okay folks, I thanks very much for watching that. A very thought-provoking video today. Drumossie Moor, the Battle of Culloden, where the Jacobite uprising was ended. If you've enjoyed this video, press the like button and hit the subscribe button as well. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, and a little bell button that will give you a notification of any future videos. So from me, Brummy in the Highlands, thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.